Hello, this is the Contest Fantasy Footy Show, where we have to re-record our podcast because my computer decides to poo itself. I'm Jesse. I like redraft. I'm with K-Man. He's a dual hat winner. We're your hosts. We like fantasy footy. You can follow me on Twitter at Contest Fantasy. You can follow K-Man on Twitter at K-Man_TC Fantasy. Mate, good to see you. Almost as if I haven't talked to you about 8 seconds ago. Good to see you again. How are you?
I thought those days were done. Season one.
I know.
What do you reckon it was? Our first 4 or 5 pods literally had to record back to back because the first one didn't work.
I still remember Jimmy Jams bringing it up one day and being like, do you guys ever just record a pod and not have to re-record it? I was like, no, clearly not. We made a lot of mistakes in those days, didn't we? But still making mistakes, clearly.
Hey, new show alert. New show alert. You would have noticed. Yep. Me and Vams nerding out during the week. A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Game of Thrones is back. And very much season 1 Game of Thrones vibes, where you really get to know these characters. And towards the end of Game of Thrones, that it was just, there was a scene, and then it would go to some other place in Westeros, and then another place in Westeros, and then there was another story, and you just like, whoa, that hour was crazy. Where this is not like that. This is good.
I have to tell you something. I actually don't know what it was like at the end of Game of Thrones because I never finished Game of Thrones.
Stop it. Are you serious?
I made it as far as the Red Wedding.
Good one to finish.
And I tapped out. I did tune back in a season or 2 later for the death of a certain tyrant king, though.
The annoying one.
The annoying one, because I had to, it was like that thing of I don't care if I don't understand what's going on anymore. I don't care. I just need to see this event take place. So it was worth it. So if it's back to Game of Thrones season 1 vibes, then I'm down because season 1 and 2 were awesome. They were fantastic.
No, definitely check it out. Check it out.
Love it. Love it. You were showing me these Origin teams before we started recording, and we were having a bit of a laugh because I think we're getting reminded why State of Origin maybe doesn't work too well in the AFL. What's your thoughts on the Vic team, mate?
Stacked. Absolutely stacked. I mean, you rattle these names off. Toby Green, Jack Sinclair, Sarong, Bontempelli, McCluggage, Merritt, Dacos, Butters, Darcy, Gorn, Lockie Ash, and it just keeps going. Max Holmes, Noah Anderson, Matt Rowell, Jack Gunston, Ed Richards, Wiedering, Collins, Battle, Bailey Smith, Paddy Dangerfield, Ben King, Tristan Sherry, and Tom Stewart. Man, those poor WA, they were just boys. They were just boys.
What are the chances that Chris Scott is just like he plays AFL fantasy and he's just living out his dream right now? Like, what are the chances? I think he might be.
It's so funny you should say that. It does look like there's 2 coaches in a classic comp where one has just nailed their side.
And one has maybe stumbled into the finals.
And no disrespect to WA, but I just think they're in for a tough night.
What are the chances they win? It's got to be low, right?
Wouldn't that be something?
It kind of makes me want to watch. I was always going to watch, let's be honest. But it kind of makes me want to watch just so that I can root for WA against. But I don't see it happening. That is an absolutely stacked team. Crazy. When is State of Origin?
I'm sure it's this weekend, right?
Is it this weekend? Okay.
I thought it was.
All right, we're going to have to watch it.
Yeah.
It's got to be at the McG, surely. Okay. Do you think McDonald's would the MCG ever get McDonald's as a sponsor? Be the McG?
The MCG? Well played. Well played. Well played. Oh no! It's at Optus. It's over in WA.
Oh,
Saturday,
well, there goes my
14th. There goes your joke.
There goes the joke.
Stadium.
Yeah. Optus. I haven't got a pun ready for that one, so that's
does
a shame.
everyone get a telephone? I don't know. That's terrible. Anyway,
I have a bit of news this week. You would have heard surely by now about Christian Petrarca's cooking Instagram channel. I'm sure.
Oh yeah, yep. Got
Yeah,
a few
of course.
recipes off him. Yep.
on track 5. Well, have you cooked any yet?
Absolutely. He does these
You
smashed.
have? Amazing.
Yeah.
Me too. What have you cooked?
Yeah.
Smashed taters?
Smashed, no, wraps. So you put the meat on the wraps, you smash it and cook it with the wrap attached. And
Beautiful.
put all your stuff
I've tried those before. Not his,
really
but
good.
It always falls apart on me when I try it. Like the
Not
meat
tracks.
No, not tracks. Jeez. We know what he's. Well, so I made slow cooker. What are they? Not quesadillas. The things. The enchiladas. Slow cook enchiladas.
Yep.
It's great. Had it for lunch today. Outstanding.
Well done.
And I'll be
love to have you on the show.
Love to have you on the show, Track. Yeah, come on, mate.
Even if it's just cooking.
Yeah. I will talk about cooking with Christian Petrarca all day. We should reach out. Let's message him on Instagram. Come on our Fantasy Footy podcast and tell us why we should pick you, but also share some recipes.
Absolutely.
We can just talk about pesto for an hour. It'd be fantastic.
Well, we're on YouTube now, so he can actually cook something. We can watch it.
Hey, now there's an idea. If he can live stream from his kitchen and cook.
We'll just fire in some questions. So what do you think about your split this year?
That's yeah. Do you think he'd get overwhelmed with that? Like he's trying to focus on not burning the, tzatziki chicken or whatever. You can tell I'm not a chef. I don't know. You probably don't put tzatziki in the fry pan. What's that joke from that morning show, that Italian guy, where someone's like, oh, what was her name? She's like, oh, if you really close your eyes, it's kind of like a carbonara without bacon or something. And he's like, so offended, and he's like, well, if my grandma had wheels, she'd be a bike.
Yes, and they lose it. Yes. The hosts. Oh, that's great.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Okay, well, I digress. We should probably actually chat. We're 7 minutes in. We should probably actually chat football now. Before we get stuck into it, if you dig the content, remember to chuck us a follow, 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Really helps us grow. Like, share, subscribe over on YouTube. All that good stuff. Got a great show lined up. We're doing the 3rd and final installment of the year of Fantasy Fights. We're doing Breakout Players today. But we've also got some bonus stuff. We're going to do a bit of a mid-preseason team reveal and talk about where we're at with our teams, because I think both of these teams, I would imagine, have started to take shape and probably look very different from those way too early teams. No, K-Man's grimacing, so maybe that suggests not a lot of change. But really first, before we get into any of that, we got to go around the grounds because there's a lot of training notes. There's a few injuries. K-Man, mate, do you want to lead us off with some of these injuries? Give us the lowdown. What's going on?
Oh, our boy went down. Take Explosion 2.0. Huge fans. Georgie Wardlaw. Low grade hamstring tear. I guess the scans came back and it is low grade. He should be back for opening round, but come on. Just an uninterrupted preseason. Let's see it, Georgie boy. So suddenly just the eye is deviated, and we'll wait to see how he goes after a couple of rounds.
Yep. Jack Viney. This one makes me sad.
He's got about 3 injuries.
Really makes me sad. I know, the poor man. He can't. And I quietly was ranking Jack Viney relatively high all preseason in the redraft rankings. I thought, with no Clayton Oliver, with no Christian Petrarca, we've got Steele coming in. We've got these young kids kind of underneath them. I sort of felt like Jack Viney, from a draft perspective, was primed to have like a pretty good season, like maybe his best season for 2 or 3, as kind of like a one and done season. So I was ranking him pretty aggressively, and then we found out about this Achilles issue, and it maybe opens the door for some other players. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. But very, very rough for Jack Viney, and sad for the Melbourne Footy Club. They're having a bit of a shocker of a preseason, aren't they?
Yeah, it's not the start you want with a new coach.
Not ideal. Not ideal.
Not ideal. Not ideal. And speaking of not ideal, have we not seen this before?
We have indeed seen this before.
Regular programming. Sean Darcy's gone down.
Has he gone down since his little niggle, or is this his little niggle? His calf
I think
niggle?
it's an add-on to the. I thought the little niggle was something, and then just a bit more came through that perhaps it's a bit more than a little niggle. He
had a niggle, now he's had a naggle. He's got a niggle and a naggle. He's got both.
Zagging.
Brutes. Zinging and zagging, wigging and weaving, niggling, naggling. Jai Cully has broken his arm. He seemed to be tearing it up at training all preseason. Yep. He's been in and out of my team. Like, there have been a couple times where he's been in there for a little bit. Yep. It's not in there currently, but obviously. But that's sad for him because he's been a guy who I feel like has really been trying to break into the AFL, level for a few years now, and it looks like maybe he was cut. Levels, Jerry.
It's all levels. It'll all be covered.
It's all levels. That's the best part of the joke. Like that little detail of like it.
It's all going to be wood. It's going to be like a ski lodge in there.
You have to put that. I love later on in the pilot episode when they're auditioning for the guy comes in as Kramer, auditioning for.
They all come entering the door.
Steals the raisins.
Oh yeah.
Sorry everybody. If you listen to us, you got to put up with the Seinfeld chat. Okay. That's the injuries. We got to talk about some training notes, though, because there's actually a fair bit. Now, I have been guilty in the past of reading, you called me out on this before, reading the less than relevant player notes as well. So I'm going to be, I'm just trying to be thorough. That's right.
Yeah.
If you can't say anything about me other than I'm thorough. Not there's anything wrong with that. All right, Sydney. Let's kick off with Sydney match sim. We got Callum Mills looking at what?
The thumbs came up. See, now people can see that on YouTube. There was a few thumbs.
Was that on your end or mine? Did your thumbs?
My end.
They worked on yours. Beautiful. It's been an atrocious start. Callum Mills looks to be playing his best footy. He's playing across half back, which I think is what we expected. I still think he's too expensive to go there, but I don't know, maybe an upgrade target from a mid-pricer or something if he's looking genuinely the goods. But you're shaking your head like you just can't ever do it again.
I can never do it again, ever.
You can never do it again.
Scarred
that's
for life.
Isaac Heaney, dominant through the midfield and kicked 3 goals when drifting forward. So I would imagine his role looks pretty much the same as what it has in the past.
You picked that up, my man, a couple of weeks ago. You said jump on the Heen train, especially in keeper. So good pick up, man.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you're drafting on keeper, mate, look out. I mean, you know who else actually, I realized, on keeper has mid-forward status is also the Hornback.
Does he really?
So he'd be up there too as a top forward option too. If you're drafting in keeper, we missed that on our forwards episode.
That's true.
That's a shame. Charlie Kerno was impressive with his work rate and string marking. And I think that's it, really. There's a couple other names here that I don't recognize. So I'll move on to Essendon match sim. Archie Roberts. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink was impressive when moved into the midfield. Another defensive player who's tempting Nerds for Life. Again, these training notes, as always, are from Nerds for Life and Supercoach, who also he puts all of his sources, or they put all their sources up there too. So Archie Roberts, definitely one to watch. Pretty expensive. I think that's the only knock I've got on him. He's like 901K. So it's you've got to think pretty hard about how much upside he's got. But man, I mean, if he's 21. He's 21. He's so young.
3
years
years
to breakout,
be up around
right?
that price. Ooh.
Yeah. Tells you he's doing something right.
Yeah.
Zerrett was the standout through the midfield. Only 2% ownership. He's talking about a contract extension as well. Did you see this?
I did.
What's this about?
What a turnaround. Well done, Essendon. What have you done? He wanted to leave. He was out the door. Not only is he back, he's hanging around. Whatever they did in the off-season, well played. Well played.
It's like the Spider-Man meme, isn't it? Where they're pointing at each other. It's like, but I thought you were.
Oh, dear.
Jeez. Yeah, Would you start, Zerrett? Could you go there for M1?
He was in my side a week and a half ago. Yeah.
Me too.
He was there.
Yeah, love it. Darcy Parish, another strong performance through the midfield. Parish himself said he's been feeling great in an interview last week.
Yep.
Best shape of his life. Outstanding stuff. Braden Fiorini also outstanding in the mid. Interesting pod with, quote, a ceiling. So Fiorini, I ranked initially probably far too high. I got excited early in the preseason. He's in the top 50 there, but he's an interesting one. But he's also, I don't know his exact price off the top of my head. He's pretty close. He's over 900 though, isn't he? Like, I just think he's too expensive to go to a Braden Fiorini in Classic. But we saw what he can do.
I was going to say he does. He's always had a high ceiling. When he gets the roll and he gets the time on ground, the boy scores. So he's priced at 85. 85.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could. I mean, he could be 15 points under, really.
If he gets the roll, he's proven. He's proven fantasy scorer.
The problem is that they've got depth at midfield. Like it's hard to see a consistent week to week role in my mind from Braden Fiorini. But obviously, if we keep hearing stuff, you got to consider him. He's just so expensive. I think he's up in that like low to mid 900s, which makes him a bit of a tricky price, I think. Lockie Blackiston appears to be their starting ruck at this stage. Lewis Hayes back on the track after his knees, so that's good to see. There's no one else really that's relevant, but just because we like him here. Zach Reed, he left the field early, but due to a knee to the back, nothing serious. So he's coming along well as well, which is good to know because Zach Reed was really, he was a superstar of our teams last year.
Yep.
Okay, you ready for the exciting one? Our boys, Brisbane
here we
match
go.
simulation.
I saw this come through, and I just couldn't stop smiling. This is brilliant.
Guess who was Bob?
It's got to be Ashcroft or Lockie Neal, right?
Wash. Will Ashcroft, one of the best on ground, only 8% ownership. Lockie Neal, another very strong performance, only 1% owners. Maybe if you're playing Supercoach, can't see him being an option in fantasy to start, but great as fans to see Lockie tearing up the training field. Look, I'm just going to read all of the non-relevant fantasy ones as well because it's our team. Oscar Allen, very excited. He kicked 3 goals. He looked great up forward again. Dan Annable. This is fantastic, isn't it? I'm so excited for season 2026 of Brisbane. Also, podcast, as an aside, did you know, I had no idea. Did you know that Michael Whiting does a podcast called The Raw Deal, a Brisbane Lions podcast?
I didn't know he was Raw Deal. I knew the Raw Deal existed. I didn't know Michael Whiting was co-host.
It's Michael Whiting and Dom Fat. So I was listening to that yesterday while I was in the garden doing some gardening work. Excellent podcast. Daniel Annable, he was training along with the A-team. He looked great. He's pushing for an opening round spot, wing and half forward role, which is what we like. I don't mind that in a Brisbane Lions system. I'm thinking Levi Ashcroft of last year kind of stuff. He didn't, he was primarily off that half forward, but I'm okay with that because of how elite he's touted to be. Kitty Coleman, very clean with his disposals in a half-back role. He's got to be a lock for our teams, surely.
I'm finding a way. You're right. Just the way the Lions play, they switch the ball a lot. Sorry, I'm a bit croaky today. They change angles, so they do hit their wingers, perhaps more than, say, a lot of teams. So you're right. With the younger Ashcroft last year, was able to benefit playing on that wing half-forward line. So maybe Annabelle, it's not going to cap scoring as we normally associate those wingers from perhaps being out of play if the ball's on one side of the field. And that's good news.
I'm sure he'll be able to roll into stoppage when he can as well. Jasper Fletcher at defense Jasper Fletcher with defensive status played half back and has been used on the wing again as well, which is what we like to see in real life. Not so great for his fantasy stonks. He appears to be the one moving to fit Coleman into the halfback role, which is exactly what you called would happen at the beginning of this preseason. Look, I'm just going to say it. Link McCarthy, not fantasy relevant, but love to see that he's back and he seems to be doing really, really well.
I hope he gets a good run
role that they're playing with.
I'll say that again?
Yeah, mate. Likely to play with a half-back role. Oh, okay. Sorry. He has been training a half-back, but it's previously being more of an experiment. So probably forward status more likely. Okay. He's very cheap this year, though. So I don't know. with a forward line, like with a lack of forward rookies that we're really sure can make a ton of money. I don't know. Could he be an interesting one on a bench or something? Maybe that's crazy. The only other one that Tom Duday is still with the rehab group. So I think that's all the fantasy relevant guys.
Yep.
Really, but Berry's back as well, which is very exciting. Last team to go through. I'm going to fly through this because we're 20 minutes in here. Port Adelaide, match sim. Miles Bergman, one of the standouts for the match while continuing to play his midfield role. So
Alec Berg. Yeah.
He's going to be the one, isn't he, that he's going to make coaches mad one way or the other. He's going to make the people mad who didn't start him because they were worried he'd be a utility, or he's going to make the coaches mad who did start him because he is a utility. It's just someone's going to come out and be upset. Zach Butters, another dominant performance. Todd Marshall will be playing as a key defender. His kicking being a strength that they want to get, that they want to use to get out of their back line.
What's he priced at? What's he?
Well,
I've seen him sneak into a few teams.
Nerds for Life is Supercoach, so I can't tell you, but he'd be cheap. He'd be really, really cheap. Connor Rozee, still playing cross half back, had some mid-time as well, but
he's priced at 37.
Yeah. Ooh. Well, you got to look at it. What's he cost?
$394. So he's only, $40K more than your first and second round draft picks.
You'd probably have to pick between him and a Blackiston, right?
Oh, I don't mind Blackiston though.
I know. I just mean like if you probably don't want two of those guys at that price point if it stops you from doing something else elsewhere. But it is a good price though. It's kind of very akin to the like Hugo Garcia, Nathan O'Driscoll, Mitch Nevitt, those kind of decisions from last year. I think that's... Oh, and then the only one, Dante Vizentini appears to be ahead of Jordan Sweet officially now, so keep an eye on that as a ruck option, as a value ruck option. Should we get into the what the people want, the fantasy fights, breakout players? Fight! That was perfect timing. Absolutely.
Yeah, did you like that?
I did. Well done, you.
Well done, me.
Round one.
Round one.
You.
Not good when
Cozzy Pickett versus Archie Roberts. That's my...
Let's do it.
I'm going to go first this time.
Do it.
Rotate it. All right. I'm taking Cozzy Pickett here. Now, I have said on the pod this year that I'm not massively hot on Cozzy Pickett in general. I did have him ranked relatively high in the draft rankings, but and he's still relatively high, but I felt that was more out of a sense of there just aren't that many great options this year. However, circumstances change, mate.
Absolutely.
I think this is Fantasy Fights Breakouts. I think it is totally fair to say he already broke out last year with an average of 87, particularly at the back end of the year when he started putting up those tons. Actually, it wasn't even just at the back end of the year. I think it was just patches of tons throughout the year, followed by like a totally bottoming out score. But I think you can also say that if he gets more midfield time, like even more than he had last year, if he gets that extra midfield time, then maybe sort of a second breakout is what we can expect. He averaged 87 points last year. He's coming off of a year with 69% CBAs. And there was a stretch between rounds 14 and 22 where he averaged 93, only dropping below 80 once and only dropping below 90 twice. Here's the original thing with him was like, no Track, no Oliver. You've got Steele, you've got Viney, and then you've got a bunch of young kids. Who's going to be the next guy in? It's going to be Cozzy Pickett, and it will be him and Viney and Steele as those main three guys. That was when I wasn't super high on him because I was like, I felt like Viney was going to have a good year, and I think Steele is going to have a great year. And I was sort of like, well, I sort of saw him as being a 69% CBA guy again, Cozzy Pickett. And so I thought if his CBAs don't change, I think we've maybe seen what he does. However, now that Viney is looking to have he's going to be out for a while. So that opens things up a bit. And now Cozzy is at least the second guy in there. He's got to be the second guy in there. So I can see a world where those CBAs jump from 69% towards 75% or something like that. And that's significant. So that's pretty much my argument. The last part of it is really about structure, and it's really about this. So I'm just going to rattle off some names. Our forward lines are like bereft of mid-priced options, of options in general, and the mid-prices that we've got to look from, there's plenty of question marks over them. So C-Mac, who I love, but he's in a team where we're really unsure what the midfield mix is going to look like, and so he could fail. Josh Rochelle, there's been a lot of preseason hype. You know, Nick's really loves what he's doing. He's getting a lot of midfield time. There's just something fool's gold about it to me that I just don't trust it. Mateus Philippou has apparently been tearing it up, but we've still yet to see a true breakout season from him. So is he actually... I think I will probably be selecting Philippou, but I don't know if I want to select him in addition to 2 or 3 of these other mid-price guys. So for me, in comes Cozzy Pickett. He's in that 900K. Sub him in as your F2, and that allows you to maybe kick a mid-pricer to the curb and do something else elsewhere on the field. So that's my argument for Cozzy Pickett. I think he's shaping up now with finding out to be a really strong forward option.
Yeah, I don't really have a rebuttal. It's very interesting with the Viney news, and someone to compliment Jack Steele a bit more. I'm going to use your Transformers name, Dynamism. Cozzy Pickett.
Dynamism.
So he's going to add that. I guess the only thing, if Melbourne aren't scoring, who are you going to need to go into the forward line to spark? It might be a Cozzy. But that's it. But starved of personnel in there, I think it's a really good pick, especially in light of what's happened this week. So I don't really have any rebuttals, mate. Agree.
Well, should we just call me the winner
of this round?
Wow. You were going to talk about Archie Roberts, but we can just move on to round 2.
The other, as you said, mid-forward status, good flexibility, but Archie Roberts.
Flicking back and forth. Okay, Archie Roberts. Lay it on me.
This is a trend. This is a 2023 draft pick. He's only 20 years of age. And last year just came up with more consistency with his run and carry. So his run and carry capability, Essendon really like. Look, he's priced at 85. That's high, but he is a third-year player. So I would say that's exceedingly high for a third year. So there's obviously something about him. And from round 14 onwards last year, he did average 90. And the key to that was this increased halfback role. He got more time around that defensive 50 with his run and carry and his ability to take marks. And he had one low score in that run, and that was at the SCG, where Sydney really know how to play that ground really well and had an overall average of 85. No Martin. So no Martin is key to this, I think. And with 3 pre-seasons now under his belt in the AFL system, he's gone from 24.5 disposals per game from the year before at 21.8. So he is trending. And my only clause to this being a breakout year is where Andy McGrath plays. That's what I want to know in the next couple of weeks, because he was... Roberts was a Rising Star nomination last year. Brad Scott has been quoted as saying he's already a leader at that club at the age of 20. He's a proven high disposal, high mark fantasy role, and he's also been issued a long-term contract to 2028. I just think he's going to continue to trend if we get some clarity on where McGrath is playing.
How do you expect McGrath's role to change this year?
I don't know. I don't think they've used the best out of McGrath. I mean, when you talk about that draft where McCluggage, Taranto, and McGrath's the one where I go, has Essendon got the best out of him? I still don't think they know where his best position is. I don't know where his best position is. He was getting some halfback role last year with Roberts. If that's the case, then I think we can cap Roberts a score. But you said today that Roberts is the one that spent some time in the midfield, and whether that's just match sim scenario to match the numbers. But I don't have an answer about McGrath, and that's what I'm interested in some of these practice matches coming up.
So my only kickback on Archie Roberts, because I mean, we actually tussled a little bit over who got to fight for Archie Roberts this week, but my only kickback is the price. He's 900.
Yeah.
He's 901,000. So it's kind of that Braden Fiorini thing, although I rate Archie Roberts higher than Braden Fiorini, where it's like, it's just that awkward price point where you go, guys like Colby McKercher, Tom McCarthy, these guys are still even at an awkward price point, but they're like 80 to 100 grand cheaper. And so that's the tricky part. But I actually do have just a really quick, interesting stat for Archie Roberts that actually helps you here, but I don't care because I really like him too, and this is really fun. So just shout out to Rowan at the AFL Fantasy Marketplace. Really like his stuff. He did that great episode on Pod about market share, but he's been talking about how the two big stats he really is putting stock in is handball receives, because players with high rates of handball receives are representative of who the team wants to have the ball in the hands of, and meters gained, because it really represents who's using that ball well to take territory for their team. So last year, across the year, Archie Roberts averaged 11 handball receives per game and 356 meters gained for an average of 85 points. That's fine. He did something very similar for the same average in 2024. Here's what's interesting. In his final 5 games, he averaged 14 handball receives and 522 meters gained for an average of 96 points. Do you want to know some other names who averaged around about that mark last year?
Hit me.
In those two stats? For 11 and a half handball receives per game and 654 meters gained, Nasiah Wanganeen-Millera. For 9.6 handball receives and 487 meters gained, Lockie Whitfield. 10.7 and 553, Lockie Ash. And Josh Dacos there with 11.3 handball receives and 520 meters gained per game. It doesn't stop at halfbacks like Nick Dacos, Mark Bontempelli, Noah Anderson. These guys are also putting up similar stats. So I just found that one really interesting as one that highlights in that final stretch of the season, he was putting up similar statistical numbers in a couple of these categories as some of these other guys. So that
was that role. That was, as I said, probably with about 8 rounds to go, there was certainly more of a shift into that halfback space, which probably enabled that run and carry through transition, getting more of those handball receives, and then being that distributor, which Essendon so dearly need, especially with their young forward line. So, thanks for that. Appreciate it.
No worries. I still win. I never posted the polls for our last episode, so we actually don't have the results. So I can just go to bed assuming thinking I won. That's fine. Round 2, mate.
Yes,
it was a drop.
Do you want me to kick? Oh, yeah. No. Okay. See, it's difficult, isn't it? This is you last time.
Fight! Think you're better than me? Oh, gosh. All right. I won't say that. Okay. Round 2. Tom McCarthy versus Trent Rivers. All right. I'm taking Tom McCarthy. Now, look, I've briefly spoken about Tom McCarthy this season. I talked about him really early on in season 2 of the pod here. I think it was maybe December or early January. And I just mentioned him as a player I'm excited about. And at the time, it wasn't that I was poo-pooed, but I don't think anyone else was as interested as I was in Tom McCarthy. There were certainly some other pods that were kind of like, nah, probably not. I can't remember how you responded. I feel like you weren't super keen in general, but I was just sort of like, at the time, I was just like, I just think he could be one to watch. This could be interesting. Throughout the preseason, we've heard nothing but midfield dominance from Tom McCarthy. Now, obviously, he's in the West Coast team. Anyone who's in that team, their ceiling is maybe potentially capped. But I made the argument last Fantasy Fights episode, when talking about Harley Reid, that this could be a turning point of a year for West Coast. And I want to be clear, I still think they'll finish like bottom 2 or so. But when I say turning point, I mean from a fantasy perspective. they haven't had, I don't feel, a complete midfield for a really long time.
Mm.
They've now got Harley Reid coming into his third year. They've drafted Willem Dersma. Obviously, he's a rookie. He's in his first year. He's going to take some time. I'm not saying he's going to come out and be dominant off the rip. They have got Jack Graham in there who offers some veteran wisdom, I suppose. They've got Devin Robinson, who maybe offers some defensive play. And they've got Tom McCarthy, who played a bit of mid-time last year, but he also played some half-back. But he seems to be solidifying that midfield role. And I actually wonder if that's as detrimental to his potential as people maybe think it is. So he averaged 83.5 in his first season in the worst team in the league. I want to be really clear about that. His first season as a mid-season draftee in the worst team in the league, he averaged 83.5 points. He averaged, to reference those same statistical points from the last, from Archie Roberts, he averaged 470 meters gained and 8.1 handball receives per game, which is pretty outstanding for a rookie, I think. They want the ball in his hands, and he knows what to do with the ball when it is in his hands. To give you a sense, in Will Ashcroft's rookie year, he averaged 270 meters gained and 8.8 handball receives. Nas, in his first year, averaged 274 meters gained and 5 handball receives per game. So I think McCarthy is in pretty good company, and he's even ahead of those players in some statistical aspects. That is not to say that, different team makeups, different things. I get all that. I'm just saying, like, he's in good company here. Yes, West Coast caps his ceiling, perhaps. But I think what he did last year was real. I've heard out in the community this idea that he's just a guy, or a jag, as is a term in the fantasy community. I disagree with that. I think what we saw last year was real. I think he's really good. And I think couple that with the preseason dominance that he's supposedly been showing, I think there's a strong argument that you can start him even at that awkward, like $800 and something thousand price tag, especially if you're feeling that you need to go budget in your back line and stack your midfield. Like, there will be coaches out there who aren't starting Connor Rozee in their back line. Maybe they're shifting him into their midfield or something like that. And if you're one of those coaches, maybe you're looking for other budget options to put under Colby. So look, I'm not saying definitely go out and do it. I'm not saying he's going to smash it. I'm not saying there aren't other options around his price that you can look at. What I am saying is that I don't think he's nearly as bad an option as it has been suggested.
It's interesting because it's a completely different role. So he's coming away from a team who obviously had to give up possession in their defensive 50. So he was given plenty of time and space and kick-ins and run to be able to get to that average. I guess moving into a midfield, I mean, first game they got Gold Coast. Good luck getting those handball receives against a Raul, Anderson, Took Miller, Petrarca, and not having the space to be able to do so. So the kick-ins will be taken away. His ability to be isolated to take in plus sixes will be taken away, and he'll be heavily congested. So it'll be interesting to see if his tackle numbers increase, but it'll be interesting after, say, 5 to 8 rounds, whether those score builds are comparable from what he did last year to this year, purely for the fact that it's a completely different role.
Totally. And that is the rebuttal I expected. It's all well and good for me to rattle off stats that maybe won't be as totally reflective as they were, of that score or whatever. I'll be totally transparent. I'm not starting Tom McCarthy this year. And again, I'm not saying go out, do it. He's a slam dunk. But I do think what we saw last year was real. And I think, that's what this episode's about. It's about breakout potential. Yeah. It's about breakout potential. He's a good player. I think he'll be a star. It may not happen this coming year, but if you're feeling bold, you're feeling brave, I wouldn't make fun of you for starting him. Although maybe some people would make fun of me for starting him. So there you go.
Well, if you're comparing him to Alec Berg, the thing we're worried about with Bergman is, as you said, he's got to either be first man out or he's going to be plugging holes if there's injuries to key personnel. Whereas I think we're pretty confident that McCarthy stays there. So in terms of clarity and consistency of role week to week, up until mid-season buys, we've probably got a bit more confidence that McCarthy has that space. So they're there and thereabouts, both of them. I do want to talk about Trent Rivers. I've never really been excited about Trent Rivers, but as you said with Cozzy Pickett, with comes injury, there comes opportunity.
Yeah.
And it's time for him to step up. Trent Rivers is 24 years of age from the 2019 draft, and I think there's two avenues that this could take place, in the midfield or at halfback. You rattle them off. There's no Track, there's no Oliver, and for the first part of the season, no Viney. So we've locked in a steal, and we've talked about Cozzy Pickett with that transition and some younger players, where Trent Rivers should have the experience to be able to step into that role. He's had inconsistent scoring in the past, and I think that's been driven by his inability to lock down a role. He's always moving around, whether it's midfield, out to the wing. He did some halfback at times. He moved out of that position. So there's been no consistency in his role to solidify consistent scoring week to week. So to have that mature-ish aged body in that midfield to complement a Steele, Cozzy, then we have a Trent Rivers, and then we can filter in some of these younger players in that rotation as a fourth banana, as they say. It's the first time I've ever used that. There's space and opportunity to do that. Yeah, I didn't like it. There's space to do that. But it's a shame. That's a shame. But it's the halfback role where I think there's greater opportunity with no May, no Bowie. Yep. I know Cully's injured and perhaps doesn't fit that bill. Turner injury. And he's 4 tons last year, and scores of 90, 91, 91 came when he had that defensive split, a halfback role, due to injuries. Now, when those injuries came back, he was straight out again. But that's where he maximizes his points. Now, here's the important thing. If not now, then when for Trent Rivers? And if this isn't the year, then I think Melbourne have to trade him at the end of the year, because they're not getting the best out of Trent Rivers. He either has to seek a new club, or Melbourne have to move him on. If at 24 years of age with these gaps, they can't put him in the midfield or at halfback.
Yeah, great point. Do you know what stands out to me the most out of this second round is how low energy we are about both of these options.
About these players. Yeah.
You should really start these guys.
I'm actually interested in Trent Rivers if he does. If he goes to halfback, I'm in. I'm interested, because those scores relate to his ability to put some decent runs on the board.
Whereas McCarthy, I'm like, oh, you could start him, and I wouldn't blame you, but also please don't, so that I don't feel silly when it goes horribly wrong.
Please don't.
Yeah, look, I know Rowan again at the AFL Fantasy Marketplace is really hot on Trent Rivers this year, and he's been making good points about market share. And Trent Rivers is totally one who should be, as you say, he should be at 24 years old. He should be primed to fill that role. I mean, it's a far. Caleb Windsor's been getting some.
Looks
he's
quick.
been making some rounds. He looks quick, but Trent Rivers probably makes more sense in terms of where he's at in his career. So he's one to watch. He's an interesting one. I like it too. We'll have to watch and see as the preseason continues what Melbourne does with these players. I think other guys to watch,
special mentions
as a special mention, Xavier Lindsay. You said he's been playing. Been getting some halfback time himself, didn't you?
Halfback time and midfield time.
Midfield time, yeah.
We know he looked good last year. Before he got injured, we thought, wow, this is the rookie we've been craving. And just after that injury, he just wasn't the same, whether he was carrying that for the rest of the season. But a full preseason, he's got some talent, this kid.
Tanner Bruhn is one that has interested me, but I won't be brave enough to select him.
Yeah.
I just don't see where he fits in consistently in the Geelong. I don't know who makes room for him, and there's been word that he's been playing off half back, but we look at Geelong and we go, well, they got Tom Stewart in that sort of pseudo fullback halfback distribution defensive role where he just kind of does everything and carries everyone. But then you've also got Zach Guthrie. You've also got Lawson Humphreys. You've got these other guys who kind of, Zach Guthrie has a boom game this week, and then the next week it's Lawson Humphreys. And I can just see if he's in a halfback role, it kind of being something like that, which scares me. But he's, he was a gun when he played in that first year or two. Your boy, who's your boy here?
I got two. Maxi Hall. Did you see that footage after we talked about it?
I did see that footage. You were very excited about it.
I was very excited about it. And the other one being Angus Sheldrick. It looked good last year. We thought he was going to be the value pick for last year. He was okay, and maybe another year under his belts. And Mills going to halfback, Goulden on the wing. It could be a pretty hard player in that midfield, but just a wait and see.
Is Max Hall forward status? He's forward, isn't he, this year? Or is he mid?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Don't know off the top of my head. I'll check.
He's forward. He's forward. So the question then is, does he threaten Mateus Philippou's role?
Absolutely.
Are they vying? They're vying for the same role, aren't they? Really?
And different players. Max is hard. He's a hard player. Philippou, a bit taller, a bit more mobile, around the ground, tall target. So they're very hard to compare. It just looks like St Kilda are going to invest in a Max Hall.
Yep. You were a big fan of him last year too.
He was great. Yep.
Speaking of, well, I don't know what we're speaking of, but team reveal. Let's do this. I was trying to come up with a segue and it just never came.
I'm just going to put something in.
Max Hall.
I'm just going to put something in. And there's a delay.
Jerry, just remember, it's not a lie if you believe it.
I mistimed it.
It's time to believe in our teams.
Love it. I love it. I was going to say, I don't have, I can't remember what I was going to say. Doesn't matter. What we want to do is we gave you some way too early team reveals, super early in the preseason when, I think it was like before the app had even opened. It was in like late December, early January, something like that. And we thought, hey, this will be fun. Let's just see what we're spitballing here. We haven't really talked that much. We've shared a couple of screenshots, but we haven't talked that much about our teams, really. Nothing like last year where it was like every second day. So we thought it'd be interesting to go over. Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Got a bit crazy at one point. We thought it'd be interesting to just go over what our current teams look like. I'm going to share my screen.
Hey, do it
for the people on the YouTubes. Here we go. So That's
exciting.
Here's my current team. Oh no, you're getting a cheeky peek into the mid. Oh, I don't care. Whatever.
That's the point, right?
Midfield. That's the point. Look, okay, I'll do this. We are not going to go through our entire team in detail. There's a lot of these players that a lot of people, have in their teams, and you don't need to hear that Zach Butters is my M1 or whatever. I have got two versions of my team that are running at the moment, and I'll in a moment I'll kind of say what the differences are. But I've been toying around with two things. I've been toying around with Connor Rozee in the midfield and Petrarca in the forward line. And then we were chatting with Vams the other day, and he was like, hey, could you do it the other way? Could you do Petrarca in the midfield and then bring in Cozzy Pickett in the forward line? So version one of this team is actually Sinclair at D1, Rozee in the midfield, Petrarca in the forward line, no Cozzy. And this version of the team is what you see here. So my defensive line is Connor Rozee, Colby McKercher, Nick Newman, Kitty Coleman, Lockie Blackiston, and then Sam Grill, Jacob Farrow, and Lockie Jacques. But really, those last three are a rotating wheel of whoever's got the hottest preseason notes at any one time. That's a pretty vanilla defensive line. Do you have any notes for that at the moment?
Who is your D6? I can't see, sorry.
Sam Grill.
Oh, yeah, from Richmond.
Yeah. From Richmond, yeah.
Yeah.
Could be him, could be Farrow. I think Josh Lindsay is maybe not quite in the best 23 currently, but so there's a bunch of options there. My midfield is Butters, Steele, Walsh, Petrarca, Parrish, Annabelle, Sharp, Jagger Smith, and then I've got Dersma and Smiley on the bench currently. What do you think of this idea of putting Christian Petrarca in the midfield? The logic being that if he turns into a really nice player, I've got that flexibility to flick him forward, and then I can maybe use a trade to upgrade my midfield and down. Like I can sort of get rid of a lower priced player in the forward line, move Petrarca there, and then maybe get a much better midfielder in there. And that allows me to kind of put a Cozzy Pickett in the forward line at F2, which again then increases the likelihood that I can very easily have all three of those guys, Sheasel, Pickett, and Petrarca, in my forward line as well. How do you feel about that structure?
I like that flexibility because we're really clutching at straws with the forward line, especially the value picks. And if you've got too many of them and one fails, well, it's a quick fix, isn't it? It's remove one of those. If you've got cash left over because you've gone perhaps one less big dog in the midfield, then you swap your Petrarca and then you can upgrade to another pick that maybe you've seen in opening round or in round one that you think, no, I want to latch on and enjoy the price cycle. I don't mind that play. Who's your M1? You start with Butters.
Zach Butters. Yeah. So Butters, Steele, Walsh, Track are those top four guys.
How do you go with buys?
Really well, actually. I'm really happy with the buy structure of this team. So I'll actually just chuck on the buy detector. Oh, it's already on. I think I've got Newman and Coleman are really the big dogs, and Walsh in that round 2 buy. And then the only other guys in that round 2 buy are rookies. So they're ones that I can, it doesn't really matter. I'll sub in the other rookie for them kind of on field. Round 3, in my rucks, I've got Brody Grundy and Tristan Sherry, and this will be a discussion point.
When's Grundy's buy?
Round 3. So in round 3, I've got Track and Grundy. And Jamara Ugelhagen currently, although that's a position that's often changing. And then for round 4 buys, I think I've only got a couple. Again, like there's like 2. Sam Flanders, Mateus Philippou. So it's just those couple. So I'm actually really happy with that balance there. I've got Brody Grundy and Tristan Sherry in the rucks. And I think this maybe is the biggest talking point of my team at this stage. When I listen to Pod and I listen to Geordie DeSena, I feel like he just speaks.
Love to have you on the show, Geordie.
Love to have you on the show, Geordie. Welcome anytime, mate. Because, as the millennials used to say, he's my spirit animal. He says the things that I'm thinking. He's fantastic. And he was talking about, he's leaning towards that set and forget ruck structure, and that's what I've been feeling too. He talked me into Grundy and didn't have to talk very hard. So Brody Grundy and Tristan Sherry, and interestingly, I was listening to Vams on Coach's Panel on the way home this afternoon, and they were talking about the risks associated with this strategy. But for me, I want to stick to my gut that my feeling is that we're maybe overthinking the ruck rule changes and that the top 4 guys are going to be there and thereabouts again. Yes, I'm risking that either one of these guys drops 10 points in average, and that wouldn't be very good. But I just can't do a Briggsy. I just can't. The only other guy I'd look at is Luke Jackson.
Yep.
I'd maybe
Especially
look at
with the Darcy news.
Yeah, I'd look at a Grundy out for a Luke Jackson in, and then that could maybe allow me to upgrade something somewhere else. But other than that, I think I'm pretty happy with those 2 set and forget guys. How do you feel about that set and forget kind of structure at ruck?
I'm a massive Grundy fan. That was my ruck combo pretty much for the first 3 weeks when when I was doing all my pre-season work before the app opened. I've gone Briggsy, and the thing is, if you're worried about a Grundy and a Cherry and all these rucks not getting the same stoppage points and those type of things, wasn't that going to be with Briggs as well? You're talking about a contested ruck, old school ruckman. If anyone's going to be hampered, it's going to be Briggs, especially with his inability to get around ground. So I think Grundy's the extra midfielder in the Swans midfield rotation. So I don't mind it. It's just obviously paying up for both of them and what that does across your other lines.
I've got Cooper Duff Tytler at R3. That was mainly just I really want to have him in the team, but it just structurally, that's what kind of made sense. And then my forward line is Harry Sheasel, Cozzy Pickett, Sam Flanders, Mateus Philippou, Jamari Ugle-Hagan, and Devon Robertson, with Lockie Dovison, Harvey Harrison. But again, those rookies are changing constantly. Jamari Ugle-Hagan is swapping in and out constantly. Again, another version of this team is track instead of Cozzy, Rosie at my M1, and then a Sinclair or someone else at D1. So there are a couple of different versions going here, but I feel like this forward line is a decent balance. I've kind of gone pretty light on the mid prices. Like I've got a Newman and a Coleman in the back line. I've got a Parrish in the middle, in the midfield. And then the only guy I really consider a mid-pricer in this forward line is Mateus Philippou. You could make an argument for Jamari Ugle-Hagan being a mid-pricer as well. I see Sam Flanders as an underpriced premium rather than a mid-pricer. I'm pretty confident he's going to score fantastically. So I've tried to eliminate some risk. My only concern is, do I have enough cash gen rolling through my on-field setup with this particular structure?
It's pretty balanced. It's very similar to mine. I've got the track. I'll rattle that off in a second. Jamar is an interesting one because if he's chopping out, we've heard he's killing it, absolutely killing it down the Gold Coast. So an opening round watch, absolutely. He's in and out of my team at the moment. Do you want me to rattle them go?
Yeah. Do you want to? You sharing your screen as well? Or?
No, I'll just go off the phone.
Okay. I'll stop mine.
D1, I have Rosie. D2, McKercher. Newman at D3. Rivers has taken over Berg at D4, and that gives me capability to have Coleman at D5. And I've talked about adding the depth in my defensive line as Coleman is comparable to a rookie. Blackiston, if he's solo ruck, is my D6. And I have Sarong and Lindsay at the moment, depending on how rookies pan out. Really, we won't know until teams are released.
Yep.
Anything there? I guess the difference is I'm going that extra depth in the defensive line, which I've already talked about before.
Yeah, I really like it. I was copying you for a while there with that extra depth, and the only reason I changed it was because I wanted to see what my structure looked like fitting both Petrarca and Cozzy Pickett in, or both, say, Rosie and Sinclair in. But for a really long time, I was with you, and I copied you and had that same depth at defensive line. So I really like it. I think you're offsetting a lot of risk when it comes to those buy rounds.
Well, I also want to get these rookies off the field. Like the talk was before this year that these crop of draft rookies were not great compared to previous seasons. If that's the case, I don't want 6 and 7 of them and 5 of them starting in my starting side. So I'm just playing around with if we're going to have these decent rookies and if they're on my bench making money, that's probably the way I'm leaning towards. Midfield, I've got Noah Anderson at M1. I've got a back what I talked about a couple of weeks ago. Steele at M2, Butters M3, Walsh M4, Parrish, and I'm going to have to change this one. Draper, I thought was tracking well coming back from injury, but he sustained another injury again. So that's going to be a forced change and perhaps a structural adjustment. Sharp and Smith round up my mids with Farrow and Annabelle on the bench and just rotating those around depending on where their buys sit. What are your thoughts?
How many rookies was that on field in the midfield? Was it 2 or 3?
2, because I consider Draper he's had a couple of years.
It's more of that Nathan O'Driscoll type
100%
selection. Yeah.
Yep.
No, I really like it. I still am not certain I can get totally on board with the Noah Anderson just because he's been so historically volatile. Having said that, his run to start the year is pretty good. It's pretty. Do you see it as being a Tom Green of 2023 or 2024, whenever it was, where I think it was Luke Roger who suggested, or it was the winner, I think it was it Chris who won the hat that year? Oh God, I hope I got his name right. Chris. He won the hat. Didn't he do that? He started Tom Green, traded him after his golden run and off to the races.
You know what they remind me of? Gold Coast remind me of when the Lions in the early 2000s made finals again. Late 90s, where they got a taste of it. They got a taste of finals and they just came back hungry I can just see Hardwick going, this is your premiership window, fellas. This is the premiership team. You've got an opportunity here. We've added a Petrarca. You've got that start. Gold Coast can't give away that start. And I just think they're going to come out all guns blazing to set themselves up for the season.
Vibes.
So,
it's a vibes call. I love it. We need to get a vibes drop. We need to get like something that sounds like a triple, or something that sounds like a triple J host being like vibes.
So that's the vibe. I've got Sherry and Briggsy in the ruck line for value with Briggs, just with some injury affected seasons. It scares me to death. Absolutely. I hate it, but
can't do it.
Let's just see how he goes. I've got a red dot currently sitting, which again, I don't like, on my bench for VC and captain rotation. And then we go to the forward line. So I've still got Shees. He did actually come out of my side earlier in the week. Shees, Track, Flanders, the Pooh, Ugelhagen, and Devrob to round up. So again, just trying to limit the rookies on field. And then I've got Newton, Lombard, and Smiley as my
I like it.
bench players.
Overall, really like it. The only player I just don't get is Kieran Briggs. Well, not don't get. I get why people are on Kieran Briggs. I just can't. I think it's like how you feel about Callum Mills. I just look at Briggs.
Right. You were burnt.
Oh, I just can't. But okay, question for you.
Yeah.
Shout out to Bales. Love Bales, mate.
Yeah.
Always welcome on our show. Are you if you start Briggsy this year and it all goes horribly wrong, do you remember how much pain Bales was in last year? Every episode. Are you going to be feeling the pain like Bales felt last year if you start Briggsy and it goes wrong?
I'm kind of a coach that if I make that mistake, I just live with it and move on and deal with it and see what I can do to get out of it. I mean, I've got 73K on the bench, just sitting there. If I want to remove a Coleman, for example, and up him, I can. But whatever I back, I've got to back it. And if it doesn't work, I'll see what I can do.
Okay. I'm going to hold you to that. I'm going to hold you to that very, very publicly. Love it. No, I'm kidding. Privately. We done? Is that it?
I think we're done. That was good. That was fun.
We're done. It was good. Just after editing, it should be under an hour. Beautiful. Later this week, everyone, we're bringing you our first mock draft of the season. So Friday's episode is going to be a mock draft on Slider. K-Man and I scratching off the rust. You got that drop coming, mate? Just quick outro drop. I love it. Oh,
I still don't know how to get onto
Slider. Survivor. Okay. Slider, if you're listening, please help K-Man remember his password, because I really need to rub it in his face when I do better than him in Survivor this year. Agitators Incorporated.
How many passwords?
We will put the details of that mock draft on Twitter so you can join us. See you later. He did make it a smidge too long.